Good morning, Brian. Going to do this by audio. One, my hometown is full name is Arlon Chaffee, Arlon Chaff, as in Frank EE. Hometown is Goffstown, New Hampshire. My current residence is Warner, New Hampshire, and I am retired from running event promotion, where I had sold a company that I co-founded with a couple of friends. And then I continue to present cycling events under the name Gravel Cycling, GRVL Cycling. I'm not affiliated with any shop or club, but I do have the cycling events with Gravel Cycling. Two, my initial attraction to riding gravel was I was looking for something a little different. I enjoyed riding on the road, but it was getting a little crowded out there with cars and road rage, etc. So it was a bit of a safety um angle to it, but also being less crowded on the gravel roads, I found it a lot more pleasant. There's also kind of an attitudinal component where group rides for road riding can be a little postured, where riders feature themselves as being, semi-pro or whatever, and on the gravel side, it's a lot more relaxed. So I appreciate that. So that's probably my biggest reasons for migrating over to gravel. I do still ride on the road occasionally, but 9.9 times out of 10, I'll grab the gravel bike. First sensations, this is number three. First sensations riding on gravel. You have to be mindful that there's potholes and irregularities out there. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. But also, you're going to be riding on backcountry roads, and typically that means you have a lot of hills too. Not that you don't have hills with road riding, but with gravel, the surface can be a little softer, and it makes it a bit more effort. Sometimes, depending on the road, I've ridden some gravel roads that are as good or better than tar, but ridden a lot that weren't. So you got to be prepared for that, both mentally, but also with your equipment. Make sure you've got tires that are up to the task. When I started riding gravel in 2008 or nine, there your opportunities, your equipment opportunities were either a road bike with the widest tires that you could fit in there, which weren't too wide, or a cyclocross bike, which is made for cyclocross racing. Parenthetically, you can explain cyclocross to your readers if you want. But the cyclocross bikes, what makes them suited to their intended purpose is they accept wider tires, moderately wider tires, but they also have a little bit shorter wheelbase and a higher bottom bracket where the pedal mechanism is located. So that allows them to clear objects when they're out riding in fields, et cetera, racing in fields. But those qualities that make them great at cyclocross racing also make them a little twitchy handling, and uncomfortable at longer distances. Most cyclocross races are, 45 minutes to an hour max. And if you're going to be out riding gravel for a few hours, you want something that's comfortable. Enter the gravel bike, which is a relatively new phenomenon, and it's kind of splits the difference. It takes wider tires, and ever wider tires these days, and also has kind of road geometry, so it's comfortable to ride and very smooth handling. So it's the perfect match, and I'd say, I'd recommend anybody that's looking to get a new bicycle, if they're looking for versatility, the gravel bike is a good choice, because you can mount up road tires or even have separate wheels that you with road tires already on them, that you can put on there if you wanted to do a road ride, and it would be perfectly fine. So I always recommend gravel bike as a go-to. There's a new development called Adventure Bike, which takes even wider tires and also smaller diameter tires and very wide, almost mountain bike tires. And that's for, if you're attacking true backcountry, class 6 roads and ancient roads, old logging roads, etc. So it's basically a mountain bike with drop bars. But for true versatility, I recommend a gravel bike. For favorite gravel routes, geez, that's a tough question. Um, you know, my favorite gravel road is the one I'm on right now. There's so much to offer, especially the further north you get in New Hampshire, the southern quadrant, southeast especially, is pretty developed. So the gravel that you find there is going to be, kind of spread out. You're going to have to link it with some paved roads. But if you go to the west or north, you'll find a lot more opportunity there. And New Hampshire is definitely blessed. It has some terrific back roads. And don't forget the rail trails. You can check out the New Hampshire Rail Trails Coalition Facebook page, and they have a listing of all the rail trails in New Hampshire. And if you're thinking of getting into gravel, there's no better introduction because the rail trails are typically in pretty good shape, and also they are flat. So good choices there. And beyond that, just if you're on Strava, look at any of your friends' gravel routes and poach those. That's a good way to start. Also, you're finding that bike shops that used to lead, um, weeknight road rides are now, some of them are also offering weeknight gravel rides. And that's another great way to ride in a group and feel like you're supported and having fun in roads that people on the trip with you are familiar with. 6, through gravel cycling, I have a couple organized gravel rides. There's one coming up on June 5th, Raid Rockingham out of Newmarket, New Hampshire. That'll be about 500 riders, and it's about to be sold out. But that's a great introductory gravel ride or organized gravel ride to put on the calendar. And also in August 6th, I have the Kearsarge Classic, and Classic is spelled with a K, and that's out of Warner, New Hampshire. And that'll be about 350 riders, period. It's a little more challenging than Raid Rockingham, but it's also toward the end of the season, so fitness level should allow you to do that. And also, I'm conducting a one-time, or possibly I'll continue it in the future, but it's called the Gravel Clinic, and that is out of Drummond Cycles up in Enfield, New Hampshire, and that's a 50 rider gravel experience where we have short sessions, instructional sessions about bike handling, tire choice, drivetrain, nutrition, bike camping, etc. And then we have two groups: beginner gravel riders, which is could be accomplished riders, but they haven't ridden gravel before, and also intermediates, and they'll where the beginners will be going on gravel only. The intermediates will also be taken out on some class 6 roads to learn some bike handling skills out there. And you can find anything about information regarding my events at grvl.net, and that'll have the gravel rides on there. 7, advice for people thinking about gravel, simply just do it, exclamation point. But seriously, you may want to try to hook up with a local bike shop, or there's several area riding groups that you can find across the state that have no drop rides where they'll take people out and they can experience gravel for themselves. It's helpful to have cycling experience. That certainly makes it a lot easier to um, you know handle the bike. If you already got those skills in place. But I wouldn't discourage anybody from trying it either. If you're brand new to it, you may want to consider a flat bar bike, which is a traditional, upright seating with flat handlebars. But if you're used to riding in a drop bar, position, then certainly try that as well. Barriers to entry. This is item number 8. Barriers to entry. The biggest one is going to be cost. Now you can find a used cyclocross bike probably for a few $100s these days. Although bikes are commanding premium pricing post COVID, everybody wants to be outside, but you should be able to get into a new gravel bike for a little over $1,000, $1,000 to $1,500. Then, of course, you need helmet, gloves, the apparel, etc. But if you're already a cyclist, you may have some of that stuff on hand, and if not, you can ease your way into it. But definitely get the padded shorts, even if you just get a padded shorts liner to wear under your regular shorts, your rear end will thank you. So to wrap up, gravel cycling is merely cycling on gravel. It's not mysterious. It's not arcane. It shouldn't take a lot to wrap your head around it. It's just you're riding on a different surface, so you have to be mindful of kind of the uneven surface. Although arguably, some of the paved roads in New Hampshire uh, are in worse shape than the gravel roads in the same area. So um, that's about it. You can just get out there and ride. And if you have any trepidation, I suggest hooking up with a local shop or riding group, and they can show you the ropes, or find one friend that wants to do it with you. And trust me, you will find others out there and create a network of your own.